All right, welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert Michaels. Glad you are here. We're stoked about tonight's episode because it's a free-for-all. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a free-for-all. We're going to talk about free flying because it is paragliding talk. Yeah, welcome. So glad that you're here. If you're just now logging in, you're a part of the greatest paragliding talk show on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Oh, yeah. We're joined moderation. We've got Nick Vasakis in the complete pitch dark. We've also got Sean Nafsker in moderation, Anthony Peregringo, and also Ripman. And Nick and Rip are both at the Swanee Fly-In, and pretty cool. I didn't even realize that was going on right now.
It's not Swanee.
What is it called?
Nope, it's Okeechobee.
Okeechobee, that's it.
God bless you.
Bless you.
I love those, like a tiny craft.
Yeah, so they're already in the pitch dark. The sun's still out over here. But so we're going to have a great show. I want to mention just a couple of sponsors real quick. One of those is PPG Smoke. Don't forget to go check out their website, ppgsmoke.com. They got all kinds of cool stuff. You can also check out MidwestParajet.com. That's a great website to find all kinds of details about buying Parajet stuff. Also, this show is brought to you by paramotorprops.com. If you're looking to get great deals on props, paramotorprops.com is the website, and they ship fast. They're amazing. So you'll really enjoy if you accidentally blow up a prop, get a new one quick. Paramotorprops.com. Bill's also in the background there. Can you wave Bill? And then also Gateway Air Park, Keith is back there. He's flying, messing around over there. Must be nice. And Jen's trying to avoid being on the air because she's just, yeah, no, you're muted. It's okay. You just stay back there. Be quiet over there.
and serve food. No, I'm just kidding.
There. So is it really St. Patrick's Day? Today's St. Patrick's Day. Well, so happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Also, just want to mention that if you're just now joining the show for the first time, you're just participating for the first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. Otherwise, you're not going to get the prompts when we go live. And maybe you've been a subscriber for a time, but you never clicked the bell. Do that so that you'll actually get the prompts. I'm not sure why they did that, but they made it so that you have to click the bell. So do that. And I don't even know what it does other than just I feel like I need everyone to do that. Okay. So I'm super stoked that the inspiration for this show actually came from some free flying that I did just the other day here at Blossom. And I was thinking, it's been a long time since I talked about free flying and some of the free flying things. A lot of paramotor talk, a lot of talk about safety, all these things. But tonight I want to talk about promoting successful free flying. Successful free flying and how you can make it the long haul. When it comes down to business, we don't go driving. Like I know some of these guys in Florida will drive literally. Ripman has his own personal. Are they putting makeup on you? What's going on over there? The show's live. You can't be putting makeup on live. So there's some guys, and correct me, Rip. I know that there's some people that literally drive 4 hours to go free fly, and that's insane to me. We're right down the street. A lot of guys. I get frustrated when I have to drive 1 hour to go free fly. But I was talking to a couple of brothers that were on the show last week, and they literally drove 6 hours to go to a flying site. So having that said, you wouldn't want to burn up that much driving and time and effort and money to go free fly and not have a great time. So what I want to try to do tonight is give you some tips on how you can stay in the air longer, how you can maybe learn how to thermal better and stuff like that. So super stoked about tonight's episode because it's my passion. So I want to first just kind of chime in and say thanks for everybody who's logging in, everybody who's in the chat. Really appreciate you guys being a part of the show. There's like a weird something's going on with my YouTube stuff over here, so I'm not sure everything that's going on, but I can see the chat. So half hour mark, we're going to give something away, just like we always do. Okay, so first thing, this is what was happening. I was flying over at Blossom, and it was a pretty light day. So, and when I say a light day, meaning the wind speed was not very strong and the thermals were not very strong. So there's two type of conditions that you're going to deal with free flying. One is the ridge lift day where you've got maybe an air mass coming in and you've got a solid wind speed all day. And I know a lot of you guys on the East Coast typically deal with incredibly strong winds, and so you're not always able to go out and fly. The typically in Southern California, there's a consistency. This last year has been an exception. But when you're flying ridge lift, this is just wind powering over some kind of a hill or powering over some kind of a thing. I mean, there's a guy that's he lives in I believe in Australia, maybe might be. I'm not positive where he might live in Germany. It seems like he'll fly the Alps every once in a while, but the guy launches from this place that's maybe about 50 foot of altitude change, maybe 75 feet of altitude change. It's a big, wide green area, and there's this row of trees that lines the base of the hill. So it's like a little tiny ski slope, if you will, with just grass. And I'm telling you, it can't be more than 50 feet of altitude change, and he will run off the hill, if you'll want to call it a hill, and then he'll go at about the height of those trees, which I'm guessing is about 50 feet, and then he'll make a turn, and based on that wind direction coming up the face, he will catch he'll catch some ridge lift off of the trees. If you can imagine, I know you'd think of a solid ridge as being something that's going to cause compression, but trees cause compression. And so this is going to sound crazy, but this guy will literally use the trees and ridge lift off the trees, and then he'll find thermals eventually flying midday, and he'll get up and go cross country from only 50 feet of altitude difference. And he's got some, Marlon Jonat, that's right. That's Yankee Paramotor. Thank you. So yeah, incredible opportunities if you know what you're doing and if you know what to look for. So there's a couple things that you can look for before you sign up for whatever long trip that you're going to take to go and free fly. Okay. One is understanding the weather. So it's really critical that you discipline yourself in this one thing, because this is a game changer. Now, you don't have to go and learn weather. You can just cheat and find somebody who does know weather well and fly with them and always rely on them. But I'm pretty I like to be independent, and I like to know the answers before I go and free fly and do my thing. So I will look at the weather most times. If we're going to try to do a cross country, which is very rare for me because I'm super busy all the time, but when we do go cross country, I will not only do my own homework, but I'll also call someone else that's going to be going with us and see what they're seeing, because there's so many variables, and you're not always just going to get the same. You're not going to see the same things. One day lapse rate might be the key to freedom. I say that that thermal that was the last helicopter out of Vietnam. It's like this. You get one chance type of day, or you've got like, this is going to be a 4 and 5 hour flight. that you decided, I'm going to launch at 11 o'clock and we're going to fly cross country and I'm not going to land until 4 or 5 o'clock. So understanding the weather is incredibly important. Now, obviously for paramotoring, it's important, right? If you're going to go out and fly paramotors, you don't want to get caught in a gust front or end up flying in a situation where you launched and it was cool, but you're in the air for a couple hours and all of a sudden you turn around and you're like, oh, I need to go back and land. And now you hit a headwind and you're not going to make it back. So you're going to land out because you didn't check the weather. So that's an important little tidbit. It's very safe to go to fly-ins because everybody's checking the weather. It's safe to go and join a group of people that are going, so everybody's kind of looking for each other. Everybody's looking out for the weather, and a lot of times there'll be at least one person that's paying close attention. Maybe if I could just encourage something, you be that person. So if you're watching tonight, you're watching for a reason. You're watching because you want to learn something. You want to be a better pilot. Be that person. So a couple things you can do. There's a book by Dennis Pagan called Understanding the Sky. And it's a book on weather, meteorology, written in the perspective of a free flight pilot. Incredible book. Dennis Pagan is friends with Jeff Goen, Jeff Hammond, Phil Russman. They work together on some of the illustrations, and it has some great information. No kidding. Yeah, so
Sorry,
yeah, no worries. So there's obviously okay, I got that. So yeah, there's like there's a stigma attached to the free flight pilots that everyone assumes that they know a lot about weather instantly, but that's not always the case. Also, there's a stigma attached to somebody who's flown at a site more than once, that all of a sudden now they know the site and they can give a site briefing. I don't just let anybody tell me the site briefing. Although I'll take their information with a grain of salt, I'm considering, hey, I want to make sure that I'm not getting bad information. And so something else that will help you to really maximize that site that you're flying at is talk to the locals that know. So talking to the locals at whatever site you're going to fly at, they've already experienced, probably by years, the good place to go and get lift. If the wind direction, I'll just give you an example, Blossom Valley, if the wind direction is a little south, it completely changes the dynamics of the flying day at Blossom. If it's straight in west, that changes the dimensions of how you're going to fly Blossom. If it's a little bit north, so these, northwest, southwest, and west, it's like you're flying at a different site. It's insane how different everything is just by wind direction. So you can talk to the locals and be like, hey, I need to get some information about, where's we call it a house thermal. Where's the house thermal? Where can I get up? If I'm going to cross the valley, what altitude should I leave at? And the locals are going to know that. One of my favorite flying sites is Lake Elsinore here in Southern California. And the locals there know they have this entire area for like 50-mile circle locked down. They have it to a science. They know when it's time to launch. They know when it's time to leave the site and go over the back. They know it's really amazing. So they spent a lot of time learning that information. You don't have to redesign the wheel and try to figure it out yourself. Just talk to them. So I know this is Captain Obvious type stuff, but these are tips again that will help you to maximize the fly. I can't imagine, like I'll give you an example. I felt the heart kind of laying on the floor. We drove 2 hours, me, Gringo, and Jeff Hammond, out to Painted Gorge. I tried to launch uphill with no wind and blew up my prop. And I sat there the whole time while they flew around. And
just
go ahead, Gringo.
Just so you know, we did think of you. We brought you back pictures. We did bring you pictures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still too soon. So, anyways, they got to fly. I didn't, and I burned up a whole day to go out there, and it was really frustrating. Now, I can't imagine wanting to go free fly and driving 6 hours or 4 hours or whatever it takes, wherever you go. Or here, I'll give you an example. It's not always like that. It's a vacation trip that you're like, I'm going to plan on a flying trip and I'm going to go fly in this place or that place. You want to try to maximize the opportunity. So here's another one. Do some homework ahead of time. Here in Southern California, they have a website for the local. So if you're planning on coming to Southern California and doing some free flying, you're picturing, I'm just going to go to Torrey Pines, pump the brakes. If you're not a P3, you're not going to fly Torrey Pines without getting instruction and getting on radio with one of the instructors. And then two, they have a club here. It's called the San Diego Hang Gliding and Paragliding Association, and they monitor the sites. They're the ones that are in charge of weather stations. There's a guy that's involved, really awesome guy named Jeff. He is Jeff Brown. He's the one that's taking care of all the logistics of our weather stations here in Southern California. And the information that we get from those weather stations is incredibly valuable. So if you know that you're going to be coming this way, it'd be a great idea to go to their website and sign up. Obviously, they want some money. If you're going to be coming from out of town, you're going to utilize their resources, and it's almost like buying the Hollywood map to the stars. You pay that guy $40 or whatever to get the Hollywood Stars tour. Same thing when you come to San Diego, go sign up with them. Let them know that you're coming. That way, they're looking out for you, and you get all these resources on weather stations and knowing what sites work with what wind direction and wind speed, and then where to avoid airspace, things like that. I would pull up the website, but you can do that on your own, doing your own research, whatever city that you're going to be going into. So most cities have a flying club. Most paramotor groups have flying clubs. It's a great idea to get involved. Attach yourself to these groups. Sean Wallace donated $10 to the super chat. Said good topic. Thanks. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate your contribution to the show. So, doing some homework ahead of time. So, what are you looking for when you're doing your homework? Oh, Leah Catulo's in the chat. Hey, Leah. When you first decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to make, let's just for the sake of the conversation say you're going to fly in an airplane and you're going to come to San Diego from Florida. So it's a tall order, right? You got thousands of miles to cover. You're going to be probably staying at a hotel over that. There's going to be a bunch of money involved. Who knows how long you're going to stay. Consider talking to the locals before you leave so that you don't come here when it's not a great flying week or 2 weeks, right? Most people can't take off more than a week at a time. So it's usually like, I got 1 week and I'm hoping to get at least one good flying day in that week. So talking to the locals maybe will open up better opportunities for you. Also, they'll be instant with information so that you can get connected. If we have a group here, a flying group on Telegram, and a lot of times when people come in from out of town, they'll ping me and they'll be like, hey, I'm going to be in town, and I always defer and direct them to get on the chat group that's here in Southern California. And that is just kind of a simple way of saying, hey, where are you flying? So attaching yourself to a group. There's some Facebook groups. I know that there's Instagram has some groups. There's also Telegram app and probably some other ones, and you're welcome to chime in if you know some. But yeah, it's one of the things that I believe technology does favor us in here. So let's talk about, again, optimizing your flying site. Knowing where the house thermal is going to be critical. So if you show up, and I'll give you this is kind of a Debbie Downer type situation. A guy passed away. He showed up, he launched too early. All the locals were there, just sitting there observing the weather. A lot of times that's what will happen. We'll show up, we're not sure exactly what the weather is going to do. You have conflicting reports. I may look at 7 different weather predicting models before I go out to fly. And if there's discrepancies between the different models, and I guess I'll pull this up and do a screen share if you guys are interested. Next.
Yeah, he was out of towner too, right?
He was.
And he didn't know the site too well, and obviously experience. So, yeah.
And I'm just gonna. I know this may be a little bit boring, especially if you're at a fly-in. You're like, oh my gosh, tell me stories. I want stories. Well, this is a free flight tonight. I'm going to screen share here real quick. Hold on a second. Optimize screen share. And boom goes the dynamite. Okay, so this is XC Skies. Now, XC Skies you do have to pay to use this. I think they probably have some kind of a free version. XCskies.com is the website, and I think it's $40 a year. So it's not ridiculous. I mean, what is that, like $1.50? It's not a big deal, right? Think about that. 40 divided by 365. It's cheap. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you an idea what I'm looking at here. So the very first thing, let's say that I want to fly tomorrow after work, and I do want to fly tomorrow after work. So we're going to look at the time. This is 24-hour clock. So we know that I don't get off of work typically until between 3 and 4. Now, these little barbs, and I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'll just kind of explain what I'm looking at here. This is my flying site. So the dead center of this, if we were to zoom in, is Blossom. Now we're going to look at a couple things. One, we're looking at the colors. That's going to tell us at the prediction of the altitudes of the top of thermals. We call it top of usable lift. And then I'm going to look at my wind direction, excuse me, because if the wind direction is the wrong way, if it's east, then you can't fly Blossom. It just won't work. You'll be launching in the wrong direction. There's no landing zones, and you would never want to fly here on an east day. It would just be misery. Okay, so tomorrow, right now, on the GFS model, this is on the top here, GFS, Global Forecast System. This is telling a very vague picture, but this model is predicted. It's kind of like a world. It's a world view. So they're looking from every direction. They have this system that they've come up with. Okay, so Global Forecast System. And then that's my kind of just at a glance. And then I'll look at the icon. The wind direction looks even better here. And then I'll look at the NAM 12. Now we're saying that's a 12 kilometers circle. And then we're going to get down to 3 kilometers circle. And when I say that, that's our sphere, or our area that this model is predicting. So it gets pretty accurate. Now we'll go to the RAP, and we can see pretty much all the models are the same. Now there is one discrepancy here. It looks like our high res, which is our most accurate, or most, I shouldn't say most accurate, it's looking the most, we'll say nano or micro climate. They're looking very close at wind direction, wind speeds, and all those things. Okay, so I will look at all those. Now, if I have some really big conflicting reports, a lot of times we will wait on launch and just sit there and observe the weather, right? And so what are you observing? Well, I'll be sitting there just feeling the wind, and many of times you'll feel the thermals coming up. Now, to a lay person just standing on launch, you're like, oh, there was a gust of wind. But when you're midday, you're standing, and the wind is very calm, and then all of a sudden you get this gust. You'll feel the difference between just a rogue gust of wind and a thermal. It's pretty intense for a few seconds, and then you can feel how long the gust lasts or how long that thermal lasts, and you'll know. We call those cycles. So I know this is very basic stuff. Some of you are probably bored to death right now, but this is important information.
Those cycles is a lot like if you think of the world breathing. Mm-hmm. In a way, it goes and then it eases up, and then it goes and then it eases up.
So the picture that you can use is waves, but the waves are going up. So if you're gonna surf, you have to wait for the perfect time to get into the wave. If you're too soon, you got to paddle like mad to get the right energy and to do what you need to do to get up on your board. Same thing with catching a thermal off of launch. There needs to be a certain amount of strategy before you're going to be able to have a successful flight. Okay, so the guy walks right past all the locals that have their gear all packed up still. They're just everybody's kind of shooting the breeze, no pun intended, just kind of standing around, and they're sticking fingers in the air. They're watching the windsocks. They're watching birds go up. It's too early, and they know that. And when we say it's too early, it means that typically down low where the bailout launches or the launch at top at Blossom, the thermal and the air activity is incredibly strong to where that you might launch into a small dust devil and you don't even realize it. There's not a bunch of dirt in the air out here, so you're not going to see a dust devil until it's right on you, and then you see stuff getting tore up. And just because there's no wind doesn't mean that there won't be dust devils, because as long as there's energy in the air, thermals are going to be popping, and if thermals are popping, then they can create those. Okay, so the guy goes to the top. It's like 3 o'clock. The rule for new pilots that come in, it's just kind of a standard that we tell people, don't launch before 5. Now, obviously, that's discretionary. If you're talking to your instructor that's there and he's like, hey, it's 4:30, I've been paying attention to the cycles, you might obviously listen to your instructor. If he knows what he's doing, you may be okay to launch at 4:30 or even 4, depending on what season it is and what's been happening that week, and if you studied the weather closely. But other than that, launching at 5 in the summer at Blossom is kind of a safe bet. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this guy's mistakes. He goes up, pulls his glider up, and right when he pulls his glider up, strong gust comes, gets yanked back, thrown on the ground. There's some hang glider pilots that are there. One of them is one of the local legends, John Heine, and John Heine said, hey, bro, you should wait. It's a little too early to launch. And he pointed to the locals that were down at the bailout getting their stuff together. And the guy said, oh, okay, cool, thanks. And then proceeded to go back to the launch and pull his glider out again. And so this time he fumbles the ball a little bit, gets dragged a little bit, but he figures it out, gets the wing up. The winds die down for just a second, and he runs off the hill and gets into the air. So the guy doesn't get a sight briefing. No one talks to him. Now, part of this, I want to put blame on some of the locals that saw him walk by and didn't say, hey, what's up? And I'm putting a very, very small blame on them because if you know somebody, it's quick to say, oh, I know that guy. Hey, what's up? But if you don't know somebody, it's usually a little awkward, and you may not want to say anything, or you don't want to come off as being that guy that's like, oh, hey, I'm the in charge around here. I'm gonna let you know. There's a certain line that we have to be careful that we, it's a balancing act, obviously. So nobody says anything to this guy. I wish that somebody would have said something. Now, to boot, the guy had his girlfriend with him, so they both hike up. And fast forward in the story, he ends up flying behind the ridge at Amen Ridge, which is rotor, and rotor is where that air comes over the face. If the air direction is coming this way, on the backside, it's doing this spinny kind of craziness. And so he flew into that, his wing disappeared, and he fell probably 40 or 50 feet to his death. And one of the guys that was there saw it. He ran from the bailout, I believe, or maybe from the top launch, ran all the way to where the guy was and tried resuscitation, this, that, and the other thing. And it didn't work out. The guy perished, and it didn't have to happen. Literally that same night, people were able to fly and have a very pleasant evening. And all that had to happen was for this guy to wait probably about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. That's all that had to happen. And so this is a really important factor. So you sign up, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go fly, I'm going on flying vacation. Or you say, I'm gonna cut out early and I'm gonna head to my flying site, and it's 2-hour drive or 3-hour drive away, and you invest all this into it, and you go and you blow a launch, twist an ankle, ruin it because you try to push too hard or do something too early or whatever. So timing is critical. Okay. Let's take a little break, spin the wheel, and I feel like I'm literally teaching a class.
Yeah, we could do that. Another thing is that pay attention to the environment where you're planning on flying. Know what the area is known for. Look for certain conditions, what it looks like. Pay attention. Which direction is the wind favoring typically? What's it like when the wind's that direction? What's it like when the wind's in the other direction?
Yep.
It's all good stuff. Absolutely. All right.
Did I give
no more names in the wheel?
Let me just make sure I gave permissions here.
I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, you're good.
Everybody's about to see my screen. All right, here we go.
All right, fantastic. Oh, there's you got a better chance to win tonight. There's only 40 people watching. 45 viewers.
46. It was 46. And I was going to put my name in, but I left it out this time. So, are you ready, Robert?
Sean, you know what we're giving away tonight? One of these little retractable keychain things.
Dangles?
Yeah, you want one of these, Sean?
Yeah.
You need one? All right, I got you, man.
I could
send it right home, man.
I could use
it. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you want one too, Gringo?
Sure.
I'm serious, man. It's the perks of being a moderator on the show.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I didn't know if you wanted one. I thought you already had one.
I got one on Monday.
You stole one from your brother, didn't you?
Oh, you put it on my desk.
David Wolf gave me one that has a chain on it. It goes pretty good on. I mean, it works good, but I would like to get a smooth one. So if you have
this is the one you want.
Yeah, that's the one I want. All right, are we ready, Robert?
Yeah, spin the wheel.
Anticipation, man. I put everybody's name in there.
The spin of this wheel is brought to you by American Allied Drains and Plumbing. If you're in the San Diego area, you're in need of plumbing, American Allied Drains and Plumbing is your company. If you mention Paragliding Talk, you'll get a 10% discount on your services. Their phone number is 844-777-9055. Also, this show is brought to you by Nebraska PPG. Josh Bowden runs a school in Nebraska. If you're interested in getting top-notch training, sign up with Josh and his team today. There's a link in the description. All right. The wheel looks really clear tonight. That's good.
I cleaned it up for y'all.
It's hot buttered, Steve.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be close.
No.
I think it's going to be
Still
close.
going. Still
Don't
going.
I don't know.
Still going.
Nick.
Oh man, it's gonna be really close.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Oh. It might be.
Oh,
Hot Buttered
Steve. Winner, chicken dinner.
finally.
I was actually pulling for Hot Buttered Steve. He is an amazing human being.
Congratulations, Hot Buttered Steve.
Okay, I gotta write this down. Where's my
Write it down.
notepad?
Make sure you spell it. Make sure you spell it right there, Robert.
Hot Buttered Steve Productions.
He's got the luck of the Irish tonight.
Oh, that's why he's Irish.
Ah, could be.
Maybe.
Could be. Now, Nick Webster, I was rooting for you. Even though Robert was rooting for Hot Butter Steve, I was rooting for you, Nick.
Nick Webster's won. I think he's won multiple times. He's been watching the show for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
We got some lifers here. Oh, more people are logging in too. All right. Hot Butter Steve.
Look at the chat, dude.
Yeah.
Hot Buttered Steve.
Nice.
Hot Butter Steve donated $20 to the super chat. He said, I think my neighbor is stalking me as she's been Googling my name on her computer. I saw it through my telescope last night.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yep. Well played.
Nice.
Steve. Hot Buttered Steve. So Hot Buttered Steve, congratulations, winner, chicken dinner. Reach out to me through the website. And if you will click the contact form, put your address in there, I'll ship this out to you right away. Yes. It looks like Jen took over for Ripman. That's fantastic. Welcome. So the main purpose or the main reason why I said, you know what, we're going to do a talk on free flying. I was flying at Blossom on Tuesday. Winds were kind of light. It's pretty chill, pretty good day as far as there was right off a launch. There was a nice thermal. Got up in there. I was probably, I don't know, about 1,900, 2,000 feet. And I took that thermal to the top of lift and I'm like, yeah, right on. I take off from Blossom, the site where we launch from, and then I cross the valley to El Cap. And if you guys seen the videos on Blossom, you know what I'm talking about. It's maybe a mile away, and you cross the valley, you get to the face of El Cap, and then you use the face of El Cap, which is a massive mountain. We're launching at about 1,500 feet above sea level. The top of El Cap is 3,400 feet. Okay. So when I get across, I'm using the ridge lift to get up. So I'm wanting thermals, but they're just not there. So I spent quite a bit of time trying to get to the top. And you got to imagine it's a little bit nerve-wracking that if you get over there and in your mind you're thinking, oh, it's going to be great over there. You get there and there's not much lift. So now you got to worry a little bit. If you don't find lift at El Cap, you're landing in the bushes and it's at least a 2-hour hike out. And so also you got to pack up your gear in some kind of crappy woodsy kind of trees everywhere area. So I get there and I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be perfect. And it wasn't. It was very slow going. We're going up, but I mean, I'm having to make the same path. So there was a couple things that I was thinking about, and I was like, I'm going to talk about that on the show. You put yourself in this position, and there's a couple things that will get you out of trouble. One is don't leave lift for lift that you think exists. If you found some kind of a little bump and you're like, oh yeah, that's good right there. You feel something, likely like we were talking about the waves, likely there's going to be another wave and another thermal is going to come through there, and you might have just flew through the tail end of it, or maybe you're just finding the beginning of it. It's very rare that you will be in lift and that is just one bubble and that's the end and it never comes back. A lot of times that same thermal is going to be producing multiple bubbles or multiple waves. So that's a cool thing to think about. One guy described thermals like honey on a plate. So imagine if you have a stack of waffles. When you pour some syrup or honey on it, and if you flipped it upside down, wherever you would think that the drips of honey will come off, that's where your thermals are going to be popping up. So flip it upside down. Now that's your picture, your thermals. So when I cross the valley, Jennifer's eyes are crossing. I know she's not a free flight person. She's learning tonight. This is her first lesson on paragliding.
Well, she has been around with paramotors though. So yeah, she has seen some of that. So
for a while, for a couple of years now.
Okay, good.
I actually kited my first wing a couple of weeks ago. I did terrible.
Okay, good. No, that's good.
That's all right. You go to Bad Apples, I'll teach you something.
I'm sure you will.
Sean's he's a kiting expert.
Expert, yeah.
Yeah, expert level.
And whisperer. Am
yeah,
I
that's
correct?
right. That's right.
That's right.
So, that's one thing. Don't leave lift for lift. I've said it in my videos before, but I thought it was good to talk about. Something else that I was thinking about is when you have a day when the wind direction keeps changing, this means that there's a good chance that you're going to experience some stronger thermals and turbulence. And the reason why, if the wind is constantly going one direction, your thermals are very easy to predict. If the wind direction keeps changing from, maybe let's just say 70 degrees, it keeps on switching back and forth.
It's like you're on a beach.
Yep.
Back and forth.
Yep. If it switches back and forth, you're going to end up with some different dynamics. Just like I was saying, on a nanoscale, you've got the wind direction coming southwest at Blossom. My thermals that I would typically go to, we have one that the house thermal called Thumper. On a south day, Thumper doesn't work. The house thermal's not even there, non-existent. Okay, so back to being across the valley. One of the dangers that, and this is it's actually terrifying thought, that you have to throw reserve on the face of El Cap. And this has happened to a couple of guys. One particular last year had to spend the night up there because they couldn't rescue him in time. He wasn't completely jacked up, but he was jacked up enough that he wasn't going to try to hike down. Another guy, broke his arm, compound fracture, in and out of consciousness after he had took a collapse and fell right on the face of El Cap. The common denominators in that were maybe just not paying attention enough to what they were doing. And one of the old school guys told me years ago, the face of El Cap is not there for ridge lift. If you're a free flight pilot, it's not the best idea to use the face of El Cap for ridge lift. Now, when you get yourself in a position where it's like it's do or die, it's almost literal when you say, all right, I'm willing to take the risk to get close to the terrain to get up. Why is it dangerous to be close to the terrain? Well, it's obvious, because you don't have enough time to make a correction. When you take a collapse, something weird happens with your wing, you start falling out of the air, you have very, very, very short opportunities to fix it or throw. So, and the wind's pushing you towards the hill. So when you throw, you're getting pushed right into the right into the clip. Now, something else.
Get over your fear, though. I mean, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
You know, keeping your cool to have to know what to do in time is pretty. It could be very unforgiving.
Mm-hmm. Our sport is one of the least forgiving sports, if you want to even call it a sport. It's, you know, a lot of, I would argue that it's more like a drug addiction.
It's like dancing with a gorilla.
I can understand that.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you dance with a gorilla and you make it mad, it's going to hurt you. They don't care who you are.
That's true.
But if you're easy with it, you're feeling what's going on, you're responding to it, you're active flying when it's needed. When it's not needed, you're flying relaxed, clear of mind, you're able to handle it. Yeah.
We actually just I seen a pilot somewhere around here in Florida get very severely hurt. Severe is an understatement. When you think of when you see a cartoon and you see somebody getting flip flop, that's what it looked like. He was just getting thrown. It's just, he was too close to the ground to what he was trying to do, and it's just so scary. And he was an experienced pilot that happened to, and it could be very unforgiving, very scary, very intimidating, if you will.
Yeah. We've done a couple shows where we talk about fear mitigation and getting over, trying to process through. This show was birthed from an experience that I had where I had a Cascade in my very early days. I was flying in a wing that was probably a little too spicy for me, and I was flying conditions that were a little bit over my pay grade. And so the end of, and what I want to kind of just bring it all together tonight, if we're going to be making it the long haul in this sport, it's going to be because we did our diligence, we did our homework with what we're trying to do, and then also in the end, you disciplined yourself when you needed to. If you're gonna make it the long haul in this sport, you have to get over your fears, obviously, but then you also have to survive if you've got a lack of fear. So there's two different people. Typically in the sport, you've got the crazy that's willing to do whatever to get the entertainment or the YouTube videos or whatever. Yeah, Nick. And then you have the other one that's a little bit too scared or scares themselves out of
the other Nick.
Yep, scare yourself out of flying. So that's where we're at. So okay, back to making it after you've drove your distance. One of the other things that you can do is know your gear very well. Knowing your gear very well. So how can we do that? Obviously, a lot of kiting when you're at home, when you're at your local flying place. If you have an opportunity to kite your wing, that's going to help you to be able to launch, and it will help you in your landings too in a way. So if you can rep out a bunch of launches and landings,
right?
Yep. And it's just an understanding of when you're under your glider, we talk about knowing what your wing is telling you through your risers. So you can feel in a moment if your glider's being tugged from the right side, you got a thermal, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I can tell literally where the edge of the thermal is because I feel the right side of my glider get pulled first. And so that means I'm going to lean that direction a little bit to try to get into the middle of the thermal, right? That little information that I was just given through this riser pull, that is a game changer. If I knew, okay, that feeling means that the thermal is this way, and I turned that way, I didn't do my homework. I didn't think about it. I didn't do what I was supposed to. So you can literally have these little tidbits of information that your glider will give you to tell you literally critical information. Now, the other thing that I learned on Tuesday was that there was these big gaps in between the thermals where I was in the thermal and I'm climbing hundreds and hundreds of feet, and I get to the top and I felt like, okay, now it's time to leave, but I'm just not quite high enough. I'm going to try to find another thermal, and I leave that thermal to go to where I think maybe another one might be, because there's a couple other gliders in the air, and literally find this hole. And I just go down to where I'm almost back to where I started. I'm like, dang it, I lost all my altitude. And it's even more compoundingly frustrating when you have your friends are way up high and they're telling you on radio, hey, let's go, we're gonna go to El Cap. So the little information that you can learn while you're on the ground is going to make the difference, or it's going to make a big difference. And then the gaps in between the thermals, the just knowing where to go. Some of this stuff you can only learn by repetition, and I have to say, the more that you fly, the better chance that you're going to have to be enjoying full opportunity. So I'll tell you what sucks. You show up to the site, you launch, you go straight to the bottom, and now you've got a hike where right after you launch, 5 people get up and they all join a thermal together and go to the moon. So this kind of stuff happens a lot, and it happened to me quite a bit in the very beginning. And I remember thinking, gosh, man, I've got to figure out how can I not be the guy going to the bottom.
Watch for the locals, man. Watch the birds.
Yeah. When you were flying around over there, that's what we were talking about.
Oh, and that's something else Gavin McClure covers a lot, is where there's great lift, there's great sink too. And the trick is finding that spot where you can get around it, where you can feel what's going on. If you start going down, you're sinking out of it. If you climbing up, you're going into it.
I took Nick's little 19-meter VGD Magic Cup, middle of the day, was playing with thermals on it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention a couple sponsors real quick. iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you're interested in flying paramotors, no better place to get the proper training than iFlyIndiana.com. Kevin and his team will get your feet off the ground. Also, the show is brought to you by Lone Star Paramotor. If you're in the Lone Star state of Texas, you can reach out to Ron Turan and his team for world-class training. LoneStarParamotor.com is the website. Also, if you're in San Diego, you cannot miss Torrey Pines Glider Port. If you want to learn how to free fly in the most beautiful place in the country, reach out to Max Marion or any one of the guys at flytorrey.com. That's FLYTORREY.com. I want to real quick, I know Craig's not with us tonight, but I want to mention Resurgence PPG. If you're interested in supporting our men and women of uniform, you can do that by making a tax-deductible donation to resurgencepppg.com. When you donate to them, you're sponsoring those who put their lives on the line for your freedom. You can reach out to Todd Scandrett at resurgencepppg.com and tell him you want to donate because you heard it on paraglidingtalk.com. Yeah. Okay, so we got just a couple minutes. Is if there's any questions that you wanted to ask. I know Robert Taggart earlier asked, can we talk about the different types of microphones? GoPro has a adapter, and that's the one that I use. It's the GoPro. I don't even know what it's called, but it's an adapter that adapts to your specific GoPro. So my GoPro has the USB-C port, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but USB-C is kind of a weird beast. So there's a box and a wire that comes off of that. It's like $50 on the YouTube or on the GoPro website. And then you just tie in your 3.5 millimeter jack, and a lapel mic is what I use inside my helmet. And that it's funny because Robert Taggart, you're the second person that asked about that this week. So that microphone is inside my helmet, right here in front of my mouth, and then the wire goes up into my GoPro, and then I have a second mic that is used for my radio, my push to talk. And there, I did a special little deal where I can push and then picks up my microphone for my radio. So, and then the speaker is inside the top of my helmet. So when people are talking, you can hear it in the microphone for the YouTube videos. So, yeah, just a standard lapel microphone will work for that. And
that's what I use with mine. Is that, and well, I use a Ghost XL. It's by Drift. It's actually for motorcycling, and it can record up to 8 hours on one charge. And
oh, you're talking about the camera?
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Nice.
I plug right directly into the camera with the lapel mic, and it works excellent.
He's talking about the camera, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm putting on mute again. I'm sorry. I know you only have a few minutes, but I think it's so sweet. The motorcycle gang that actually Sean is in has done such sweet stuff. Like, that's really sweet. Seriously, it's like they had this little girl they went and done a ride with. It was so adorable. You should tell them about it. It's darling.
I would, but we're talking about paragliding right now, Jen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot.
Yeah,
there's
so
room enough left for everybody.
That's right. Actually, you guys may not know this. This show was made because of a local motorcycle group that would meet, and they would do meetings just like this using Google Hangouts. And I was working on my bike at that time, and I searched up a video and I saw these guys that were locals, and I'm like, oh, what the heck? I'm going to talk to them. And so I was asking them about, I had a motorcycle and this, that, and the other thing. And I said, man, that would be an awesome way to talk about paragliding.
That's
and
fantastic.
so that's how the show. Yeah. See,
everybody
it's all tied together.
Something from different everybody.
You should be out here with us, Robert, though. You shouldn't be sitting there at home.
I know.
I
know.
You're missing good air. There's nice thermals today.
I know.
Same as Sean. He's sitting at home. He should be out here flying with us.
Hey, just rub in the pie, okay? Rub in the pie. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be able to have Bad Apples to be able to go to. So I will be there for y'all that are planning to be out there in Georgia. I'm going to be out there.
We'll be there.
I was fortunate enough to get time off of work to be able to do that. So if you all show up, it'd be great to see you,
I'll be there. And I'm going to possibly have to get a new glider now because I let Griffith fly the 18 meter tonight. Now he's hooked on it.
The other answer,
the first time, and
the other answer to the microphone thing, because you mentioned engine noise, the PPG Smoke Unity headset does a pretty good job. Comes with the little boom microphone, and it does some really good things with the noise canceling for saving audio and video. Obviously, they're not cheap, but they are great. And I know that the next batch is going to be even better than this batch. So
when they get them back in again, they're sold out on the site.
Yeah, he's got to send another. He's got to send another batch through the engineering. So I don't think he's selling any more right now until they work out those glitches. It sounds like they are. Obviously mine's fine, but there was a few of them that had some issues. But yeah, so we are going to go to the after show. Really appreciate everybody that's been a part of the show tonight. You guys are awesome. If you want to join the after show, I'll send you an invite. Just put your email in the chat, or message somebody that you know. If you don't want to put your email obviously on there, I think it mutes your email. It doesn't want to put it on. It won't let it go on there. Maybe it does. So if you're worried about that, I don't blame you. Message somebody that you know on here, and I'll send you the invites, and you can join the after show. Thank you again, all the moderators. Appreciate what you guys do for the show, and looking forward to next week's show. We'll have a special guest, and we'll have a great time as always. If you haven't done it yet and you want to support the show on Patreon or PayPal, you can just go to the website, and paraglidingtalk.com is the website. Check that out. You can see all the details, or if you want to become a sponsor of the show, you can do that through the website. So thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. You guys have a great fly-in.
Thanks,
over there.
Robert.
Thanks for logging in, Rip.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. It was
Thanks,
nice to
Anthony.
meet you. It was nice to meet you. I've watched
Yeah.
your show many times, and it was very nice to meet you. A pleasure, sir.
Right on. Nice to meet you too, Jen.
Go
We'll
on.
see you guys on the next one. And if I don't see you on the